Check. Keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling and flare. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch a scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's Ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in. Full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Those were the last words of Eric Garner, who was killed in the streets by New York police officer Daniel Panatello, who was gotten off yesterday, not indicted. Welcome to the Anti-Media Radio Thursday night edition. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. This is my co-host,
Dedrick Young.
How's everybody out there doing tonight? There is a lot going on. There are protests in the streets right now in New York City. Everything is going off. They are arresting people in Times Square for protesting peacefully. And yet, the cop who kills a man in broad daylight on camera, not indicted. It's absolutely sickening.
It's sickening. And I think that we're fed up. People fed up. You know, the chokehold death, that's what they call it.
That was out. It's not even allowed by the NYPD.
We know. I'm talking about
not everybody knows, apparently. Apparently the grand jury didn't get that memo.
I wonder, did they see the same video that we've been shown?
You know, obviously not. You know, obviously they hadn't seen that exact same video, because I know what I saw, and apparently the rest of the country saw the same thing. They saw a man killed, murdered in the street.
For some loose cigarettes.
For some, well, it's I guess you would call it minor tax evasion. That's what it was.
But they say he was breaking the law.
But murder's not against the law anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to know that murder's not against the law if you're somebody who is wearing a little tin badge over your chest, then you can just do what you want and kill whoever you want. We're going to get to your calls here in a little bit on the show. We see already some people's already started calling in. You can call us here at 718-717-8296. But this Eric Garner stuff is just absolutely out of control. We've got even Bill O'Reilly, who I absolutely cannot stand, went on TV and said he was disgusted. I've never heard the man say anything I've ever agreed with. And even he was disgusted by the fact that there was no indictment.
And on the other hand, like, coming from the other side is like Charles Barkley. Did you hear the nonsense that this guy said?
No.
No, he was like, hey, you know, he's with what the jury decided on, you know? Like, he's like, hey, you know, cops, they didn't, like, rough him up. The chokehold wasn't that bad. It wasn't a real one. I'm like, come on, Chuck. You from Leeds, Alabama.
Oh, well, I tell you what's way worse. Did you hear about Congressman Peter King, the New York congressman? Okay, his quote was, and I quote, If he had not had asthma and a heart condition and was so obese, he would not have died from this. So basically, he's blaming the man for being overweight. It has nothing to do with the fact that a cop has a chokehold around his neck and kills the man. He didn't fight back.
Had his hands up.
Didn't fight back, and he's killed, and there's no repercussions. There's repercussions, all right, and they're in the streets of New York right now.
Yeah. And also, not just that his hands were up, he was also saying, what was his last word?
I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And yet, the guy didn't even let his arm up from around his neck. Nothing happens to him.
You know, and a lot of people had a lot of things, great things to say about what the mayor of New
York also came out, and nobody's De Blasio. He's not having this.
Yeah, and he also has like a biracial kid. He's married to a black woman.
Well, speaking of the race issue, forgive me, I had on CNN a little bit earlier, and Eric Garner's daughter was on there, and Don Lemon was interviewing her. And he kept trying to bait her into saying it was a race issue. And every time he would say, so you think, this has to do with race? And she goes, no, this has to do with a police brutality problem. And people don't get reprimanded for the stuff they do. This is abuse of power. That's the problem. She goes, okay, so what? My father was black and the cop was white. This has happened to people all over the country. And then Don Lemon would come right back and say, well, but you don't think it had to do with race? She goes, no, it has to do with the fact that my father was a 300-pound man, and this little guy wanted to see if he could bring the big dog down. She goes, this is abuse of power, not race.
Yeah. And this really has me blown away, guys. I really can't believe that we have a no indictment again on these cops.
At least before, there was no video.
No, no video.
Right. At least with Michael Brown, there was not video.
So do you think that putting these cameras on these cops, would it change anything?
Oh, they're just going to be making snuff films. Are we just going to see cops killing people and nothing happens to them?
The only person that got arrested in the Eric Garner's case was the guy that filmed.
Ramsey Orta, the man who filmed it. They said that this guy slips a .25 caliber handgun into some teenager's pocket. All right. So he's charged with a single felony of third degree of weapon possession. Which basically what it was camera possession, and he caught this on tape. The guy swears he didn't do it, swears he didn't have a gun, and that this is just retaliation on him because he was in possession of a camera that witnessed an NYPD officer murder someone. That's why he got indicted. But the actual guy who murdered somebody, nothing. Absolutely nothing. He gets to walk.
I'm really blown away by this, and me, coming from, Birmingham, Alabama, and just seeing this as a black man also, that I just can't believe that no one is going to be charged for this guy's death. It was filmed in broad daylight.
Right. Filmed.
I really just want to hear what people have to say, or
Well, people are obviously speaking out right now. They're blocking off the streets of New York City as we speak. They're arresting people in Times Square.
They arrested 98 people last night in Times Square.
They're sitting right now. We're watching in Chicago. They're sitting in the middle of the streets. They're blocking off the streets. There's people laying down, playing dead in the streets. Because you know what? It could be them next. It could be any one of us next. Because for what? Yeah. Standing there.
It's not a race thing.
No, it's not.
I think people are fed up all over the country.
It is. It's white. It's black. It's Asian. It's everybody.
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone. It's abuse of power. It's because you wear a little, 10 over your chest and you take an oath, but you get to kill somebody.
The justice system has to be really screwed up, and we're going to have to just take a real stand. Because Holder came out and spoke on it.
That guy.
Yeah. It's big.
Yeah.
That's big news. Holder came out. He spoke at the same church as your guy, Dr. King.
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
And
but
what kind of impact
Eric Holder ain't exactly Dr. King. You know, Martin Luther King wasn't exactly running guns to people, but whatever. Anyway, if y'all would like to call into the show, please feel free. We're taking your calls now. 718-717-8296. Area code 718-717-8296. We're accepting any and all phone calls. So I will say this, though. We've got, the no indictment here. I did hear there was a case in South Carolina, I believe it was, today or yesterday, that a cop had killed somebody, and they did indict him in the past 2 days.
Well, that's great news, but the mainstream media haven't said anything.
Well, but, for once, the mainstream media is, it's. I don't think it's the mainstream media focusing. They are covering it, but I think, how can you not cover something when there's thousands of people in the streets of these cities?
Mm-hmm.
The people are focusing the attention on what needs to be focused on, and the media is just missing out on something. All right, we've got a caller coming in. Got 480 area code. Let's see here. Let's see. Having a little bit of difficulty with it. Let's see. Let's see. It looks like the call dropped off. See if y'all can try it one more time.
Call back. We trying to add you in on this call. We had several other people calling in, and it jammed the line. So just bear with us for a second. So, protests spreading all over New York.
Sorry about that. Let's see here. Having a little difficulty with the technical side of things again. We thought we had figured all this out, and of course, once we get on air, it starts messing up. But we'll see if we can get that worked out, and we'll get back to the caller here. So, D, tell me here. We got all these people in the streets. Do you think it's really going to fix anything?
I think it will fix. I think it's going to fix a lot. I think that the people that we're saying that's protesting are not giving up, and we're taking a stand, and we're saying we're fed up, and something is going to have to change. Not just putting body cameras on these officers. Is the law's going to have to be changed. The training going to have to be changed. A lot of things going to have to be changed. We're going to have to continue. Shutting things down, if that's what we calling it. So I just want to hope that these people that's carrying these badges and these guns understand that, hey, you are human too. We humans. You just can't treat us like dogs, shoot us down in the daylight, choke us down in the daylight. And then nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. It's like, we're not even saying here, we're going to at least try this person. We're not even going to say, it's second-degree manslaughter. It's nothing. You're free to go. You're clear to walk. You can, just go.
Well, like Charles Barkley was saying the other day, he said, well, profiling is necessary. And that's coming from a black male that I'm sure that has been profiled several times in his life.
I'm sure.
Right? But I don't understand. Is it the T-Mobile contracts? Is the TNT? I don't understand. Are we going to have to just, put all these people in check and let them understand that, hey, it's people out here that's, walking up and down the street that's getting profiled, slammed on the ground. And not even just that, they are being killed. SM?
Yeah. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. What's it going to actually take? Because There were people in the streets all over the country last week, and just a week later they let this guy off. Like, what is it going to take?
I really thought that the Garner situation was going to be an indictment.
What's going to happen when the Tamir Rice cop goes up?
He's not. He will not.
Like, are they going to indict him?
I don't think so. You know, I don't think so. I think it's looking that way now. You know, that they say the kid, a 12-year-old, was looking like a 20-year-old. And from the video that I saw, and I hope that, you know, everyone else seen this and feel the same way, to me, that did not look like a 20-year-old man.
No, I mean, he looked like a 12-year-old boy because he was a 12-year-old boy.
Yes. And just imagine being a 12-year-old hanging in the park and cops roll up on you and jump out. Wouldn't you be afraid? Could you follow verbal commands at that time?
I mean, you know, verbal commands, it's like, what verbal commands? You know, they say they yelled it 3 times, but we've all seen the video. Car's there.
They jump out.
Yeah.
The kid falls down on the ground. The other guy gets out and
exactly.
They execute him.
Yeah, he's executed right there in broad daylight. He's just shot down.
I really think that if there's no indictment on the Rice case, it's going to be a really big problem.
It's already a really big problem.
It's a big problem now, okay? But you talk about boiling over.
Yeah, but, I mean, where does it go from here? There's already people in the streets all over the country. You know, where does it go from here?
Yeah, we're trying to take these callers in. Sorry about the inconvenience that we're having with these technical difficulties, but we are so glad that we have callers calling in that want to get their input in on these like crazy things that's spreading across our country right now, and that, you know, we are taking a stand that, you know, us young people are fed up and not going to tolerate it at all. So we're looking forward to the inputs. So we're going to try to knock this technical difficulty out where we can like take you guys' calls. Sorry about it.
Yeah, we keep getting a bunch of calls in here. Sorry about that. We had it all tested, ready to go earlier, and it's messing all up again. But you know what? That's all right. We're just going to roll with it. We're just going to do our thing here. We're still keeping up with the people watching the protest. It's just growing bigger the later it gets, it seems. People are not going home. They're not going to bed. All right, we got one more caller calling in. Let's see. I think we can get this one. Let's check. You're on the Anti-Media Radio. What's your name?
Can I remain anonymous?
You can be whatever you want to be.
All right, anonymous.
How's it going? What you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the problem facing our country right now, the rapidly growing police state. I want to shed some light.
Okay.
And just show the public what I personally believe. And what I personally honestly believe is the truth. It's not going to get any better. And that's not saying protesting in itself is not the right course of action to take. But what I'm trying to say is no matter what the public conjures, the plans have been made. This is all an orchestrated assignment. And so I'm sorry if I'm glamorizing what I'm saying because I'm very nervous because I've never spoken on radio before.
No, it's okay, man. Hey, we're right with you. We're here with you. We want to hear what you have to say.
I believe police state, the anger, or the beatings that we're seeing on the main, not the mainstream, but the internet nowadays. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, you know, the life of an average police officer. That's probably, those kinds of things probably not going to occur. But I'm in no way, shape, or form defending the police because what they do is wrong. They just drive around, generating revenue for the state, mindlessly following orders that they know nothing about. I mean, it's people. I just looked it up today. It takes a total of 30 hours in the city I live in. 30 hours. It's a 10-week course. 1 hour or 1 day a week, 3 hours of class. 30 hours in total, 10 sessions, and you can become a trainee police officer. And of course, those people aren't going to go over the Constitution. Those people.
So do you not think there's anything that we can do as a people? Do you think the people in the streets, like anything that can be done to put an end to this? Or do you think it's going to become violent before it ends?
I believe that the people that are in the streets right now, and again, I don't want to come off as rude at all because I believe it's great what they're doing defending the lives of these children that were killed. And, of course, the man. But the people that are in the streets right now are like cattle almost for these officers to round up. They have an arsenal that we cannot face up against. Drones, whatever you have it, helicopters that have the Black Hawk helicopters that have miniguns that fire 50 rounds a second, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got a really great point. Like, they could just start mowing people down if they wanted. But, see, what's going to happen if they do that is you're just going to have a little skirmish, you know, in one city that's going to spread all over the country. And watching the scenes from New York right now, you know, the cops are militarized. They can do what they want. But there's so many people on the streets right now that, you know, they could take machine guns, whatever, and start mowing people, and they're going to take people with them, but the people would overtake them. So, and the people are being very peaceful with their protest. But I appreciate your call, man. Thank you so much for your input. We're going to go to another caller now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it, man.
Bye.
All right. So, yeah, he made some really good points right there. You know, you can't really afford to get violent because, you know, even if people decide to go there, they have much more capability to do something to the citizens.
Yes.
They do have the drones.
They do have the helicopters. They do have the ammunition. But
they have the tear gas that's outlawed by the Geneva.
The smoke.
Yeah. Tell me about it, Anderson Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah, but I really think that we're at a tipping point, guys. And I think that we really are showing these guys that we are not going to give up. You know.
We've got one more call coming in. Let's see. Let's check this out. You're on the Anti-Media Radio. What's your name?
This is Brandon McClain.
Brandon McClain, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Very good, very good. What's on your mind this evening?
Well, you know, first of all, I think you all are doing a tremendous job with the show, man. I just want to give you all a thumbs up on the job you're doing. Job well done. But, you know, the first thing is this, I think you all hit on a couple of points, and I just want to merge the two together if I could. First of all, we didn't talk about Ferguson, but I just want to merge that into what's going on in New York.
Absolutely.
With the guy who just was strangled down in the street like a dog not too long ago, and the guy who just he's going to get indicted for weapons for what was it? He's going to get indicted
for felony count of
third-degree
weapon possession for holding the camera.
Exactly. And you know the injustice. And I don't that part I don't understand. But until we talk about class, poverty, and color in this country, that's the distinction because we're all connected through one of these three things. Until we talk about those things, then you know we'll just be perpetuating the injustice that's being done. You know, I mean, right now we have opportunity here to talk about the classism, what's going on in Ferguson. Yeah, the riots were okay. How can I say this? The riots. You hate to see riots. No one wants to see. But what I mean, that's worse: a riot or someone's child being murdered, someone's husband being strangled in the street, and then nobody being brought to justice. That is a mirror of injustice, and I mean that part. It sickens me. It makes me sad. But at the same, I talked to somebody earlier today. They said, "Man, well, I hate the loot. I hate the burning down. Why would you burn down your house, your own property? You're talking about Ferguson. Why would you burn down your own property? And after a tragedy like that, but I just responded, but look, man. I mean, just like with anything else, people tired. They get overworked, underpaid.
Yeah.
And then, did you expect the indictment? Did you expect the indictment?
Oh, I very much so. I expected an indictment.
On Darren Wilson or on the Officer Panatello?
Yeah, absolutely. I expected an indictment, and I expect an indictment in the Tamir Rice shooting. This man, whoever this cop was, got out of his car, shot this 12-year-old. I don't care if he looked like he was 40 years old.
Yeah.
That is an injustice. You can't. He got out of his car and shot this boy down like a dog.
Just because you expect an indictment because you know it's the right thing, do you actually think there will be an indictment? Because we just saw a week ago, this is arrogance that they're not going to indict the man over killing Eric Garner. We just saw this a week ago, and they go and do it again.
I keep our hope. I keep our hope in. I keep our hope for Flavor Flav. I keep our hope. Well, I keep our hope. And so the thing is that we have to keep that hope. We have to stay focused, and that's where you get the best of poor people. You get the best of poor people because of that hope, that willing to fight, that energy to keep fighting and keep staying alive. Just stay in the fight because it is a fight.
You're right.
Let's just be honest. It is a fight.
You're right.
Somebody gun your child down like a dog, and they expect you to just sit back and let me pick up and go to work tomorrow and work for $8.25. Let's talk about poverty for a minute while we're here, because I seen some earlier today. I check into the site every now and then, and not just at McDonald's, but around the country, minimum wage I think is $8.25 an hour.
Yep, yes sir.
Oh my goodness. Now you gotta excuse me. I speak French, so I'm not gonna speak French
that's all right.
today. But let me tell you something. Are you kidding me? $8.25 an hour, and you got a whole city of people basically in Ferguson. I think I was reading something about the poverty rate and the level of income. Those sort of things. Economists put together and that sort of thing. This is really, it bothers me and it saddens me. But the way they fought afterwards, I must admit, if I was one of those people in the crowd, I would have been fighting with them.
Because you know what? You make a really good point, Brandon, because let's think about it like this. Let's even say, for instance, Eric Garner's a black man in New York City, but let's all of a sudden say that this man makes $150,000 a year. Do you think that the cop's not going to get indicted? He may be a black man, but if he's making $150,000 a year, guess what? I'm going to say, no, you can't do that.
Exactly. And that's my point. And so, but I will say this too, and it's just not for people of color. We're talking about black, blue, brown. We're talking about even our white brothers and sisters. Being in part, the voice. I think Dr. King, I can almost get him word for word. The voice of the unheard will be heard through Rise. I'm paraphrasing here. I can almost
that is Dr. King.
That is Dr. King, and so you get the best. You get the best of poor people, not through, I hate to say violence, because violence is not the key, but you get the best through they're willing to fight, and they're willing to engage in some level of embetterment to stand up and say, no, we won't stand for this.
Because
this ain't gonna get it.
You got to realize that is really painful to see someone kill this guy in broad daylight and nothing happens.
See, that's the part that's so bad. It's that there's no accountability.
Accountability.
And that says to me, that says to you, Brandon, that you know what? Mm-hmm. It could be me, it could be our children, it could be our fathers, it could be our mothers walking through the street and killed for absolutely no reason and no repercussions. That's
no
the problem.
Repercussions.
It gives everybody scared now because they could get shot, they could get choked, they could get stabbed, they could get beaten down, and there will be no repercussions because what this is saying is that there are two classes of citizens in America. There's people with a blue uniform and there's everybody else, and they can do what they want, when they want, and you know what? They had some training, and you know nothing. You're all peasants, and we do what we want. We own you, and we control you.
And the caller that called in, the guy who just called in, he did make an eloquent point. I will give him this. I was talking to David about this a couple weeks ago. See, the problem is this: you can't. Let me tell you something, man. As a black man in particular, you cannot fight back and use violence in people in positions of authority.
No.
Okay. Now I think we know, and it's unfortunate what happened. We know this. But at the same time, we have to hold our legal system to a higher standard because they cannot just turn around and then say, you know what, because we paid our salaries. That's that's the point. So you can't just turn around and say, well, you know what, since they're acting up, since we feel, and remember, if we feel threatened to a certain degree, we just turn around and shoot and kill them. Because we hold them to a higher level of
threatened to a certain degree.
The law.
It's and where do you even define as threatened? There's a man selling cigarettes, so the state of New York's not going to get an extra 50 cents off these cigarettes. Well, that's the death penalty right there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this guy, I'm bouncing around for a minute. I know I don't have, I know y'all got to get on with the show, but just give me 30 more seconds. But this guy said he had a bone fracture in his face. The cop from Ferguson, the picture I saw, they were saying he had an orbital bone fracture and everything else. And this man barely even had a mark on his face.
That never happened.
Yeah, but man,
I remember saying something. I went to school with brothers like Mike. I sat next to Mike Brown in class. I'm talking about. I literally sat next to. I'm talking about 6'5", 260 some pounds. Probably in the 12th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, or whatever. I know Mike Brown. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you, and if Mike Brown get a hold of you and break your face or break your jaw, like the cop said he did, man, you wouldn't even hardly be able to open your eye and turn the cheek.
Well, you know what I just had about this? It's the government's real protective over tobacco in this country. We got you take a Swisher Sweet, boom, you're dead. You sell a loose cigarette, boom, you're dead. So,
right.
Yeah, we're going
to. And so another thing, I just said this would be my last point, man. And this is sort of off the subject, but this is something that needs to be talked about also. We need to change our educational system in this country.
Amen.
Places like when we talk about Ferguson, and we're also talking about what we're talking about places. A lot of people talk about this. We give New York and places like that. We cut them a lot of slack, but their educational system is also hurting. And so we have to change these things, and we have to merge the colors, the race, the class, everything that's going. We have to merge, and so everybody can understand how the other person is, where they come from, that sort of thing. I can't just look at you, Scott, and say, oh, you know what, that's a white man. He don't understand. He don't know why. And have a different outlook towards you. I can't treat you like. I shouldn't, and I shouldn't treat you like he don't understand where I come from, or to hell with him, and he don't have no merit, he don't understand what it's like to be this, or like what it's like to come from impoverished conditions, no running water, no heat,
and that's what a lot of these people are dealing with. Nailed it.
Exactly, they coming from situations that a lot of us, I'm talking about me, you, and Brother David, they come from places that we can't even identify with, man. We don't know what it's like to be without heat, water. Some of us don't. Heat, water, electricity, clothes to wear, a ride to work. And then that's very frustrating. It is, man. And I keep saying last time, man, what about Charles Barkley? Has he lost his mind?
Charles Barkley lost his mind, man.
But he must have lost his mind.
I tell you what, Brandon, we got another call coming in. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and take that. But I appreciate your call and thank you for your opinion.
Thanks, bro.
Okay, thanks.
All right, man. He made some absolutely great points.
Yeah, he hit some points on the head. I just had to listen to it, man. I want to thank you, Brandon, for calling in and sharing your input on all this that's going on around the country and telling us your side of it, man.
Yeah, do you think that if the education system was improved upon, some of this stuff would be happening, or do you think, things would be different?
Well, I think the education system take a great part in it. But we're going to take this other caller that's calling in.
Area code 818. What's your name? How you doing? Welcome to Anti-Media Radio.
Yeah, this is your Mocha brothers down here. How's that going there, brothers from Birmingham?
How you doing, man?
From occupied L.A.
Yeah, this is our L.A. buddy. How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Yeah, I was just talking to Nick, and he was telling me about you guys coming on the show for Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's pretty good. So I kind of like that.
We're just trying to keep the word going and keep sharing this information with our brothers and sisters, man. I thought that last time we talked, man, I thought it was going to get a little better, but I see it didn't. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I see the situation didn't get no better, man, since the last time you called in and we talked.
Yeah, well, it's just really, it's like I said, it's getting, worse. Basically, the teachers have closed the airport up in Oaxaca, and, we're really pushing the president to quit, which is, how hard it is to push a president to quit and stuff like that,
We know.
and stuff, The one thing that it's just unfortunately is that we're going to have to kick it up a notch here in the United States. We got to start doing something like Martin Luther King, but we got to. I got ideas where we need to maybe even stop police officers from being able to get out of the police station and stuff like that.
Now, do you see any hope in the fact that finally, for once, for the first time in the past 15, 20 years, there's at least people taking to the streets over some injustices? Because let's not kid ourselves and think that Michael Brown and Eric Garner are the first two people in 20 years to get shot by a cop for absolutely no reason. So at least people are reacting to this and responding to it in a positive manner, saying, you know what, we're fed up with this. We're not going to take this anymore.
Yeah. I think that...
Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. The problem is that, like I said, the problem with some of these young activists now, though, is you got to stop using the bad language. You got to start respecting each other and stuff like that. I don't care what the color you are, stuff like that.
Totally agree.
And one of the things I've always been saying too is that we're kind of at fault too, and I say we because I'm part of the system. But in general, when I was telling these people to take to the streets 10 years ago, it's like if I was told, Nick, our people were, like for instance, in a way, I'm kind of mad about Ferguson and and New York taking all the attention when there's a lot of other things that have happened everywhere else, including, you guys understand Alabama, stuff like that. But back in those days, people didn't care because it wasn't in your own neighborhood. They didn't care what was going on in another country. So we got to start thinking globally and acting locally. And when you might think that it doesn't affect you what happened in Mexico, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Because it's going to affect us all, and it is affecting us all, Just like certain places around the country, there were no protests, because in certain places they feel like, hey, it's not affecting me, so I don't have to do anything about it. But man, we're gonna have to come together and step it up a notch, and I do agree with that.
Oh, yeah, we really do and stuff like that. And I just got back from down there protest with San Diego. Nick was there covering it, and I played one of the dead students and stuff like that. And it was a beautiful thing and all that to see all the diversity and stuff like that. And it's just, it's just a beautiful thing. It really is. So I just wanted to at least say hi to you guys, too, and all that for picking up the slack on this, because we need to keep the anti-media radio going Monday through Friday. You know that.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate you calling out. I really appreciate the support, too, and I know you're doing a bunch of good work down there in Southern California. You need to keep it up.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, he makes a really good point about it being more of a global issue.
It is a global issue. But, sometimes we feel like if it's not in our backyard, we don't have to, dip our nose in it.
Absolutely. Well, that's people. Okay, we went out last night here and talked to a few people and went down to a local university, and we're trying to let people know about Eric Garner's situation. And a guy, came up to us and he said, he looked, told him about the situation. He said, you know what, man? He said, as a young black man, I'm not even trying to mess with cops. He said, that's got really nothing to do with me. I'm gonna keep my head down, and I'm not really interested in protesting because I'm trying to stay away and not get in trouble. And so it's like people feel like, well, you're just going to run from the situation because it didn't happen to you, But and I get that you're not trying to incite anything and you're not trying to get in trouble. But at the same time, what happens when it's your brother? What happens when it's your cousin?
Yeah.
Then you're going to care. But because it didn't happen in your backyard, he didn't care.
Yeah.
We got another caller calling in from area code 661. Welcome to the Anti-Media Radio. How you doing this evening?
Good.
What's your name?
Nick.
Nick, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good. What you want to talk about?
Talk about a little bit of government, maybe a little bit of politics, whatever. It's all fucked up.
It is that.
It is. But we got to
It
try
is.
to...
I mean,
Go ahead.
I'm only 20 years old, man. I'm only 20 years old. I just turned 20. And I've already realized it's just a never-ending cycle of the lower classes, the middle class and the lower class, getting fucked in the ass by the elite. The rich, the people that own the Federal Reserve, the people, because we know the Federal Reserve is privately owned.
Yeah.
And they print up money out of nowhere from the mint and then give it to the banks loan it out, and they take our money. And, they keep doing this, and we feel comfortable when they're giving the banks a lot of money coming out of nowhere, and we get these nice cars and nice house and everything, and we use our credit to do that, and then all of a sudden they take that money out of circulation, and then we're screwed because we don't have, that extra money coming in to pay off, our bills we have every month and our debt. And it just keeps racking up, man. And, all that money is just going straight into their pockets. Like, this is what I was told when I was little by my dad. He told me the rich pay absolutely no taxes. The middle class pay all the taxes. The poor pay none. That's how it goes. That's how it's always going to be until the day I die. There's not shit I can do to change it.
I think the people are going to rise up. I don't know if you saw, there was a Chris Watt quote the other day. It says,
"Yeah,
in America,
I've been hoping, dude. I've really been hoping that people will realize and open their eyes."
Absolutely, I agree, man. But the quote was,
if everybody,
if you fraudulently sell cigarettes, the cops will literally kill you. But if you fraudulently
exactly. I mean, and that's like, they're militarizing our police, they're militarizing our National Guard. Like, this is our own people. These are people that they're paying. These people only do their job because they're getting paid to do it. There's no other reason. Like, you ask them, oh, we love our country, well, what do we have in our country? We don't have freedom. What's freedom? Shit, other countries have way more freedom than we do over here. I have friends that are in the military, like, they give me shit all the time saying, I'm pretty much a communist. I need to move out of this country. I don't belong here. I'm like, no, dude, that's absolutely... I stand for humankind. And what the Federal Reserve stands for, what the government stands for, it's something that if people would realize what was going on, like, by tomorrow morning, it'd be complete anarchy and the rich would be overthrown,
But you have to remember, that goes back to the education system. That goes back to the media on TV. Is that
everything's paid for? Everything's bought and paid for. Everything is bought and paid for, man. Like, I just had a guy that works in my local radio station personally tell me that record labels pay them to play their songs over and over again. That is just him admitting that they accept money to brainwash and dumb us down.
That's happened since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate your call, man. Thank you so much for calling in.
For sure. I've been on a rampage ever since I seen that movie,
Yeah, absolutely, man. But we really appreciate it. We're gonna go on to the next caller now, man. Thanks so much.
Definitely.
Yeah, so, man, he goes back to the banks and the Federal Reserve, and you know what? Absolutely, all that's a problem.
Yeah, like I've been telling people, man, we have our own money now.
We absolutely
we have our own money now.
Cryptocurrency.
Yes, you're right.
And you just showed me, basically you have a bank in your wallet, which kind of blew my mind. I'm not as up on the crypto
as you
are. Well, it is what it is. It's cool is what it is.
It's printed out from the BTM.
It's cool because you're not going to be a slave to the dollar bill because you're capable of putting money on a sheet of paper, and that becomes your bank.
Well, hey, we got to spread the word. And we got another caller getting ready to call in.
Yeah, we got area code 256 here. Let's see. Welcome to the Anti-Media Radio. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right.
Fantastic. What's your name? What you want to talk about?
My name is Corey Wilson, and I just want to talk about the Eric Garner and Tamir Rice situation.
How you feel about that, man? how you feel about this no indictment and all the protesting that's going on up in New York?
I think that the protests are a good effort to get change, but when it comes to changing the law, the only way to do that is through legislation. So you gotta use your power to vote.
So you think the way to go in is just going in and voting politicians? Now, me personally, you may disagree with me on this. I'm not telling people not to vote, but if you look back at, you've got George W. Bush, Al Gore, I think to me that's lose-lose. George W. Bush, John Kerry, I think that's lose-lose. And John Kerry's proven that since he's become Secretary of State. I think McCain, Obama, maybe Obama's better than McCain, but still lose-lose. And
I'm not saying that you need to put all of your faith into politicians. But this is what I'll say. So Eric Garner and Tamir Rice, they're both killed by police forces, and we've seen a no indictment come down on Palatero, or the officer who shot him. And part of the reason that is because the law gives such a wide berth to the actions of police. So if we want to reform the system, then we have to change the political landscape. And if we don't want to reform the system, then I suppose we have to come up with alternative systems for ourselves, which just to me seems to lead to greater conflict. I know that in the early 1920s, there was a group of black people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They had their own financial institutions. They were called Little Wall Street, and they didn't do a lot of business with white people. But at a certain point in time, a group of angry white people, a mob essentially, destroyed that entire section of the city. So what I believe is that our actions are limited, but protesting can only show people what you support. So until you become a part of the system, or until you work closely with the system to achieve reform, it's just a very contentious issue. Do I think reform can happen? Absolutely. I've seen it in previous decades. I mean, the last time we had real reform was with Dr. King, but keep in mind, Dr. King worked closely with Kennedy and others to get the laws passed.
Yeah, but what happened with King when he tried?
What happened with Kennedy? Both names you just mentioned, what happened to both of those men?
They died, but they got the laws passed as well.
At the hands of who?
I mean, it was at the hands of the Democratic Party at the time.
Well, I think it's not fair to say that it was the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I think it is fair to say that it was, both under the umbrella of the government. I think at the end of the day, both of these parties are extremely similar. And by extremely similar, honestly, what I mean is they're exactly the same. And I don't think either one are to be trusted. They have a little bit different rhetoric. They had different TV channels. The people with the R next to their name watch Fox News. The people with the D next to their name watch MSNBC. It's both propaganda on both sides.
Well, I watch MSNBC.
Okay.
And CNBC.
Okay.
And ABC. And a little bit of
Does
Fox.
ABC have news anymore?
Well, my question then, I suppose, is that if you don't believe that working with the system will bring about the type of change that we're here discussing, what is the alternative?
That's absolutely.
But I think, like I said, building our own institutions, cryptocurrency, that's one way to go.
Absolutely.
Hey, I agree with you, man. I agree with you.
I think that's an absolute huge first step, and that kind of goes back to what the last guy was talking about with the Federal Reserve. It's breaking away from the banks. They're allowed to just, bankrupt the country almost, and then at the end they don't even get slapped on the wrist. They get extra money.
Yeah. When you got control of your own money.
Absolutely. Look, Don't
It changes
forget.
things.
Don't forget for a second that Gaddafi was going to.
Yeah.
What,
Saddam Hussein.
You better believe it. He was put it on the euro. Oil was going through the euro in Iraq, and it was not 15 months later gone.
I really don't think that they can stop this movement in cryptocurrencies.
I don't think they can stop it, but
or even just this technology.
I think like the internet, they're going to try to step in and regulate it because they're definitely trying to regulate the internet.
Yeah, they most definitely is. But there's a lot of things that was filed this week to try to get some of these regulations held back. Because some of these regulations just hold back on people being creative and all these regulations on taxes and I think that we just need to hold up and just and let it evolve and let people be, creators and makers and let this movement just grow. And we'll see in a couple of years where we at. If it's not, what we lose.
But you're right about that.
But we have a lot to gain from it.
But you talk about the regulations that they're coming in and all this. But at the same time, we're living in a world right now that the way people can hear us through their speakers. The NSA can hear you through their speakers when you pick up the telephone to order a pizza, or do you call your mother and check on her and see how she's doing? We've got one more caller calling in. We're going to add them to the round table here, and we can all throw in our opinions. Area code 302. What's your name? How you doing?
Not bad. How you doing, guys?
Hey, how you doing? What's your name, buddy?
Rob.
Where you from?
East Coast, man. East Coast.
East Coast. Tell us what's on your mind, Rob.
I've just been listening to you guys. This is actually the first time I tuned in to watch you guys a little bit.
Cool.
How you feel about this thing that's going on up in New York? The protest, the chokehold death.
They're showing a man right now being arrested in New York City for protest.
Oh yeah, I've been watching. It's pretty sickening in my opinion, seeing all this go down, and then it's. As a couple people hit on earlier, too, it's, a slap in the face. Obama coming out with this. Oh, everybody's going to wear cameras as you see these guys gunned down in HD online. Everybody sees it.
Yeah, but we see that the videos don't change anything.
Sounds to me like somebody's got some stock in GoPros, what it sounds like. They're just going to put cameras on everybody. They're still going to be able to kill them on camera.
Well, hell, we've seen this happening, man. Like all over the globe, and now it's in America. It's going on in Mexico.
America.
It's going on in Brazil still. Okay, it's going on like all over. Now it's home. So what are we going to do?
Right.
Are we going to just sit back and just protest? What's the next step? What you think?
Tell us, Rob. What you think we should do?
Honestly, a lot of people, they're going back and forth with the protest and saying, "Oh, I think it's going to help. I think it's not going to help." Honestly, I think that's the only way, really, is to show. I mean, obviously, protesting isn't directly going to change anything, but it seems like it's waking people up. And without that, people aren't going to see it because, I mean, the revolution will not be televised,
Yeah,
you're right.
And, I think it's funny. It's a week, a week has passed, and last week you had, especially people here in the South and the people on Fox News, they were defending Darren Wilson and said, well, he hit him, and well, love America, and blah, 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 blah. And now, on this case with Eric Garner, those exact same people are like, wait a second. But he really wasn't doing anything, and they just killed him. And I'm confused because this messes with what I've been taught, because that didn't look right.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like, out of those 23 jurors, did they see the same film that we saw?
I don't know.
Like, could they have?
I don't know how you could do that. Like, how could you see that? Like, just like you said, how could they watch the same thing that we saw and just not be like...
Money, 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 money. The police unions have a very big influence, and don't forget that.
Yeah, but it really makes me highly upset even watching it, man, because it's like, and nothing happened.
Not even...
Yeah, it's crazy. And it makes me think, just like you're saying, there's got to be something
not even
deeper than that. So there's no way that you could have that many people that stupid sitting in a jury that they can just sit there and be like, oh, no, I totally think that the police were, in line with that. There's no way that those were randomly selected jurors that are that dumb and or corrupt that they would just side with the police like that.
Kardashian show gets big ratings. Don't you ever think there can't be enough people that are that dumb?
Yeah.
They're out.
I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't. I haven't had cable in 5 years. I don't watch any of that crap.
I'll tell you what, Rob, I really appreciate the call. Really appreciate your input. We've got one more call coming in for the evening. Area code 401. Tell us your name and tell us how you're doing.
Adam, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good.
What's on your mind, man? Tell us how you feel about this protesting.
I'm just angry as fuck.
Are you? We all are, man. You're not alone. Yeah. What are we going to do about this problem? Are we going to continue to let this happen, or are we going to take a stand? What do you think the next move is?
Well, I think it's a complex problem, and it needs to be approached from multiple angles as opposed to just one. So protest plays a part, and boycotting plays a part. A lot of things play a part, but it's just complicated. So it can be simplified or reduced, I think. That's just my opinion anyway.
Absolutely agree. Now, what do you think outside of the protest are the steps that we can and should take to get us over this hump that we're obviously in this country?
Well, I think it's a lot of boycotting. It's a lot of not supporting corporations.
People vote for dollars every day. You said it.
Right. That are, supporting an agenda that hurts poor people of any color.
Oh, absolutely. I think boycotting can play a huge part in this because, listen, they can see people on the streets, and I think I heard the quote the other day, or maybe not, maybe I just made this up, in my sleep, but these riots, I think, are symphonies for the 1%. They don't care. They're not interested. But, but when you start boycotting and hitting people in their wallets, then all of a sudden they're going to get real interested real fast.
Yes. Sure. Real fast. So what angles do you think we need to come from? You gave us one.
Protest, huge, boycotts. Mm-hmm. You got a third?
Well, I mean, it's whatever you put your mind to, and essentially, whatever you think will help. I'm not one to tell people what to do exactly, just to wake up to the reality that rich people are stealing your money.
Yeah.
Billionaires across the world.
You absolutely said it. And I think that's something that so many people miss out on, is that it is bigger than just a cop killing somebody. Yeah. Because there's a reason they're not being indicted. What's the reason they're not being indicted? Whose payroll are they on? Where are the finances for all this coming from? Well, it's coming from the people and the tax dollars. But it's the banks that are controlling a huge portion of this.
So we got to get the banks out the picture.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. That's a huge angle.
Yeah, they're monopolizing on the whole system.
Absolutely. You nailed it. They've monopolized everything.
Right.
Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate.
I don't want to steal the narrative from you. I think what you guys are doing is great. It's just I just feel very frustrated by the whole system and by what's happening. I mean, even though we're making progress, it's still held back by very reflexive people who just want to do harm to people.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate your call. You made some really great points. We're about to wrap up the show tonight. So thank everybody so much for calling in. Great calls. Co-host
can't breathe.
Yes, absolutely.
and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.